Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today on this glorious Monday, doing another live commentary. I asked, you responded, more live commentaries, more gameplay-focused content you shall receive. So we're going to hop right into a match of Skirmish, because Skirmish is going for a limited time. I've been meaning to give it a go. Of course, Skirmish is basically just attrition without the AI. So it's your team deathmatch, your standard team deathmatch stuff, with pilots and titans with no AI whatsoever. So we're going to have a nice, crisp, clean, sterile environment to hunt down those pilots and to give our titan tactics a bit of a run. It's going to be a good time, I hope. Anyways, this is actually the first match I'm playing for the day, so we got technically another cold bore match I'm going for. I'm hopping back into the R97 as of late. I'm still messing around with the car. I've been having a lot of fun with the car, but I figured for the sake of just variety on the live commentaries, we would do the R97, because I just recently did the Carnage commentary as well as the Carnage loadout. Oh no, I never actually ended up doing a Carnage loadout. That's right. I just did the live commentary for the car. We've still yet to really put the car into a loadout where it was the main focus. Obviously, Livewire, it did get the opportunity to do that, so I'm completely mistaken. I'm not even aware of my own content. What are you gonna do? Matchmaking. There we go. Sweet. We've got Dry Dock, one of my favorite maps in the game without a doubt. So I actually figured for this commentary, I'd also have a small piece of discussion, something I've been thinking on. I'll probably branch out on this topic a little bit more once we do the state of the game, which should be coming up this week. There's a lot to talk about in regards to the balancing changes that went live with Livefire, and how I feel about them, and how I feel about the future, where the game needs to go. But one of the things that's become really apparent to, I think, just about anybody who plays Titanfall at this point is that Respawn does seem to have sort of an competitive approach to the changes that they make for Titanfall 2. Now, I don't really mind that basic mindset on its own, right? You know, if you don't really want to focus on the high-end competitive side of a game, you know, you don't want to focus on having global leaderboards and, you know, people worrying about their kill-death ratio and all of that stuff. You know, you want to keep it a little bit down and more open, more accessible. That's great. You know, that's how you want to run your game, right? But the problem that I have with that is it seems like a bit of a contradiction, because the other side of... Yeah, all three are gonna run through? That's cool, you know, just give me that kill feed, bros. Oh, man. The competitive side, the side that makes things a bit weird, is that inherently... I mean, Titanfall 2 is a competitive-natured game. Like, portions of it, anyways, are really fast-paced, right? You know, it's a super fast, like, Twitch-type shooter. Obviously, there are things that counteract that, and I've always said that the game seems to have a bit of an identity crisis at times, because we've got, on one hand, super, you know, high-speed mobility, and on the other hand, we've got things like the cloak and the AWOL, you know, so it's kind of a mixed bag, right? But them not really caring about the competitive side of things, that just seems to add to that mixed bag, right? It makes it even more so. It's like, okay, well, you seem very anti-competitive, you know, like, again, no global leaderboards, we don't have any sort of a ranking system. This apparently isn't something you guys want to put into the last second, so I see you're trying to push for some form of, like, hey, don't worry about it, but all in all, Titanfall 2 isn't really an accessible game. You know, it doesn't have a lot of accessible components to it. You know, it's not the game. It has a pretty high skill floor, a pretty high skill ceiling. I know we've talked about this so many times before, but I really just wanted to make that connection. Also, the fact that I haven't played Tone in a very long time. Holy hell. So, I guess that's the thing that I find the weirdest, right? Is like, where does Respawn want to go with it direction-wise? The good news is, Livefire did bring a lot of people back into the game. I think all in all, while there still are some balancing issues, for the most part, people are pretty happy with where things are, and most of us are having a really good time. I know I am. I feel like the game has been more enjoyable than it's ever been, despite many of those changes, in my opinion, not really making too much of a difference. You know, again, we'll talk more about that in the state of the game, but all in all, I think it's a psychological thing, right? We've talked about this in the past. I think more and more members of the community are just, I don't know, we just kind of got people understanding what's going on with the game now. People are able to counter some of the more in-meta things that are a little bit more powerful more easily. I think every day I see better and better Ronins, who are getting more effective at countering tones, which means that tone feels a little bit more toned down, for the sake of a bad pun. You know, so all in all, the game just feels like it's a much more enjoyable environment lately. I think a big part of it for me as well is that I've been improving as a player quite a bit from the pilot aspect of the game. I've always been pretty solid with Titans. You know, Titans are definitely the more tactical portion of the experience, which is why I think people do love that combination of Titan and Pilot gameplay so much, because, you know, they get that trade-off. I can go from the Pilot versus Pilot side of things, which is very fast-paced and brutal, you know, very twitchy if I want it to be anyways, to the Titan side of things, which is, you know, obviously much more focused on the tactical side of things, which I quite dig. Yeah, we got him. All right, we're doing good. We're doing good. This is a pushover match, guys. It always seems my first match of the day, which is, I guess, why it's a good idea to do these cold war commentaries, is the match where my team goes absolutely crazy. Obviously, we don't have AI this time around to worry about, so that's a bit less going on with the score, which is why you'll notice that we don't have the same tremendous lead we might otherwise have had we also been farming AI on top of destroying their team from a straight-up perspective. But, hey, we're doing good, and I'm happy about that. Oh... Gotcha! That change in projectile size not making much of a difference if you can shoot straight. Let me just put it out there. These guys are just playing really silly. That's really their problem. You know, Ronan, I really don't appreciate you walking in front of me like that when I'm trying to get all tone-tastic over here. You know, it's funny, right? Because I think there was a brief moment right before live fire launch where I was a little bit worn out on the game, you know? I was letting a few too many of their decisions, balancing-wise, get to me, you know? I think rightfully so, because I do think, you know, they've struggled with their decision-making on what is what and what direction do we want to go. Do we want this to be a more accessible experience? Do we want to embrace the more competitive side? Oh, but the core gameplay isn't really... isn't really either of those things that's in the middle. So I was a bit frustrated, and I think I was letting myself get too caught up in that. I think a lot of people have been there. I know I've talked to some of you guys on stream who have been there. You know, so for me it was like, you know, let's just get back to basics, and what do I enjoy about Titanfall 2 the most? And you know what? Obviously the Titans are fantastic. I love the Titan stuff. But, you know, the big thing for me, you know, that kept me going, that got me back into it, was just really developing myself as a pilot again. You know, looking at people like Frothy and Sage, you know, and saying, man, you know, I want to be there. I want to be on that skill level because I think there's value within that. You know, and that was something I realized I can chase that. You know, I can be a lot better than I am, especially with my mobility. So let's go for that. And that's what I've been doing. And you know what? The reward, you know, the payoff for developing those skills has been so high. That's where that high skill ceiling portion of Titanfall comes into play. And while it may hurt the game in some aspects, you know, for someone who's going to be playing the game years down the line, potentially, you know, until the next release, potentially, whenever that happens, you know, there's a lot of value in having that high skill ceiling. And that's been proven for me, you know, in my time with the game. Unfortunately, these guys, man, they're just having a really bad day, and I kind of feel bad. Look at this guy. What's he doing? You got a Thunderbolt. It's going to take you 10 years to shoot that thing, man. Get airborne. Get out the ground. Like, this is just a slaughter. I'm a 16-1. This is a good point, though, that Rob and I talked about on Pilot's Ponder, which you guys should go check that out if you haven't already. You know, you get matches like this, which hopefully the commentary is worthwhile, because I know the gameplay isn't that satisfying. You know what, guys? I think we're gonna bail out of our Titan as well here. Let's get mobile. Let's get mobile, because I don't want to keep shredding these guys in my tone. It's a little bit unfair. Well, what we know, something we were talking about was, you know, the reason that having more of a ranked game mode, kind of like Overwatch does, is important, because it gives players a stomping ground. It gives people like Banshee, you know, and Sage, it gives them a stomping ground. It's a place where they can go where, for the most part, they know they're going to run into a more serious crowd. You know, there's definitely a mental element there where people who are most likely on the higher end of the skill spectrum are going to say, well, we should probably go play in ranked because, you know, we want the most competitive nature. It does. It helps pool together people from a mental perspective who are looking for that higher skill spectrum. There's no denying that. Obviously, not everybody there is going to be the best of the best, but it does help put those people into somewhat of a bracket, somewhat of a small group. And that is really what this game does need at this point, you know? It's no longer a matter of like, oh, we just want to cater to the more open side of the experience. No, you're actually, in my opinion, really hurting the players who are sitting on the lower ends of the skill spectrum, because they're constantly having to deal with people like Banshee and, you know, and Sage, and they're just getting shredded by these dudes, and it's like, no, you don't belong here. You know, you belong in ranked somewhere, you know, dealing with those guys. Like, get out of my my quick play, you know? You know, that's really just how I feel about the game. That's kind of how my friends and I have started to be with Overwatch. You know, we've been playing quick play together since Overwatch's release, you know, probably 2-3 sessions a week, maybe 2-hour-long sessions. You know, so now for us, it's like, okay, let's elevate ourselves. You know, we pretty much are winning like all of our matches every night, even when we're trying to carry some really bad tanks or, healers that go lock in on our team and they do awful, we're still winning. So, like, that's what rank's there for then. We can elevate to rank and realize, wow, okay, this is a completely different environment. We've really got to get all of our smaller things down, and we can grow ourselves as players then. That is really what Titanfall needs at this point, They need to stop with the whole, we don't want to take the competitive approach, and just give it, because it's going to benefit both sides of the spectrum. It's going to benefit those people who want to play quick play and enjoy it more, and it's going to benefit people who are on the high end who just need the right sandbox to stomp in. So there you have, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I kind of sucked that portion out of Pilot's Ponder. This is a great time to promote Pilot's Ponder. If you haven't checked it out, the very first episode went live this week. It is a podcast-style format talk show with myself and Rob over at iBlueAir GGR. We talk about Titanfall 2, some other games in the future, and it happens bi-weekly. So the next episode will be airing next week, Tuesday at some point. Keep an eye out for that. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I think we talk about competitive a lot, but I just don't think you can ever have too many discussions in regards to the competitive side of a game and the value that Titanfall 2 could have from bringing a ranked playlist into the experience, bringing global leaderboards, bringing a ranked ship back even. There's immense value, again, whether you play ranked or not. It's going to benefit you. Those are my thoughts. You guys have a great week. I will catch you the next couple days for more Titanfall content. We're probably going to throw in some Ghost Recon there. We've got Mass Effect Early Access coming up over on Origin Access. A lot of goodness. This is going to be a killer month. Get locked and loaded, and I'll see you in the next one.